my career journey early enough as a person. Yeah, so that's basically that about me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chinelo. Organic Rausi. Can you introduce yourself to the audience as well?
Okay, can you hear me? Just trying to confirm here.
Yeah, I can hear you as well.
Okay, fantastic. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daniel Arausi, Organic Arausi, whichever you can pronounce. I'm a senior front-end engineer or software engineer. I've been doing this for quite some time now. I would say for going to 5 years, thereabouts. Working in Accenture, Berlin, Germany. I'm also a mentor for people trying to learn how to code in a boot camp in Canada. That's my field, and having fun doing it. Looking forward to sharing my experience with you, how I got here, lessons I learned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel, as well. Ms. Sandra, you can introduce yourself to the audience as well.
Okay, just to be sure, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Decker. I work as a user happiness manager with Remote, which is located in the US. Pretty much I've been on the journey as a internship officer. And so I would say that I have close to 5 years of experience being in this career path. And yeah, I'm just here to just share what it is and how I got here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sandra. Mr. Kehinde, you can introduce yourself to the audience as well.
All right, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you as well.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kehinde Barua. I work at the University of Lagos as a lecturer. I lecture geography, population medical geography to be precise. But today I'm not here as a lecturer. I'm here to speak to you guys as a business entrepreneur. So I run a fashion brand, a clothing brand. It's called Every Stylish Man, and it's the strictly male clothing brand. And we do a lot of things: bespoke tailoring, ready to wear, agbada styling, image consultation as well. So if you're a student here and you want to go into like maybe business entrepreneurship, and I think I'm your guy for today. I'll share my experiences, because my business kick started when I was a student in school. So I'll share my experiences with you guys. So thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. So family, the way this is going to run today is now we have the panel. They've introduced themselves. As you can see, each one is a professional in their own field. And these people have been working, they have the experience already. So I have created some questions that I feel like, myself and every other person as campus students, are going to have concerning, how they've attained where they are at. How they attained where they are. How did they even bridge the gap between the campus ministry, and the working experience? How did they bridge the gap between their campus life and their working experience? So I'm going to throw the questions open for the panel so that they can give us their thoughts and opinion, and we can see how they've done things. So the first one that I'm going to throw open for the panel is, how did you get your first job, or how did you start your first business after university? Or like basically, what are the things that worked for you and what are the things that worked against you? That's what we want to see. So how did you get your first job? How did you start your first business? Basically, the first thing you did to earn income after campus, and what really worked for you and what worked against you. I don't know. Anybody from the panel? Okay, Mr. Daniel, I saw you raising your hand.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think we can all speak. We can all go in tongues. Yeah, because I think that's something that I think we had in mind. But I'll go ahead. And so for me, getting my first job, there's this catch-22 situation where you need a job to get a job, you need experience to get experience. And so just that ability to convince an employer, that you are worth taking the risks. And so that was the situation that I was in, and of course, every other person that finishes school. And so I had two paths, right? Either I was going to, find my way to an internship, then from there get an actual job, or in my own field, specifically in tech, right? There was the opportunity to be a freelancer, and so you could freelance for several companies, and help build your portfolio as well. And so I did that. I did both of them, but I think what worked for me specifically was just the freelancing aspect. And so I was able to, just do a bunch of pro bono. So by pro bono, I do mean free services for people as well as paid services for people. And so tools like, I think it's Fiverr, but Fiverr is one of those platforms as well. And also just building networks with people. I was able to build a very, very comprehensive portfolio that now gave me the credibility to be a full-time staff just about anywhere. And so yes, that's my experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. Just before you go, I just wanted to ask, for us, like I can think of many things that can work against you, but would you say anything actually worked for you or against you in your bid to achieve this?
Yes, like I did mention, I said what didn't exactly work for me was the internship, specifically because it didn't give me the target job I wanted. There was always a situation where you intern for a while, and then you probably wouldn't get the full-time job, or you intern for a while and then they don't pay you what you deserve because you started out as an intern. As opposed to being a freelancer, right? You could literally do jobs that people top-notch in your field are doing as well because you have the knowledge. Again, like I said, this is specific to my field. And so that actually worked for me because I started to do very serious work with top people, right? In that field, I was like, okay, you've worked with this person, just like saying, oh, you've worked with Davido, or you work with this top person in this field, you might as well be as good as this person. And so that's something that worked for me excellently well. I don't know if I answered the question, by the way.
Thank you very much. This is a panel discussion, by the way. So even when the panel has something to say as well, Kenny.
All right. Thank you for having me once again. So for me, it's I don't know how to separate, my lecturing job from my business because both of them are intertwined, right? So I guess when I started my business back in 2013. Yeah, I think I was a 200 level, I think 2012, 2013, I was a 200 level, 300 level student. I'm not even sure now. And of course, ASU was on strike, and ASU was on strike for me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I have 6 months, and I needed to make the most out of that 6 months. So what I started to do was I started to look for people, look for shoemakers, people that actually could make shoes. And then, I would sell it to some of my peers. And then, from there, I'm like, you know what, man, let me go into fashion because it's one of the things that people complimented, about me. I grew up in a house of fashion. And then it's like, okay, you know what, man, if this is something that people compliment of me, I can make money off this, right? Out of this compliment. So I started to look for tailors, that could represent what I really wanted to do in terms of fashion. I started with family. First, I started with family and I started with friends. And then once I did the job and it was good, people would just literally just refer me to people. So my business kick-started while I was a student in Unilag. And then, so by the time I was done with university, my business had already progressed to a certain extent. So I wasn't really looking for a job at the time because I kind of knew I was going to get my job at the university, right? So, and then university gives me time to be able to do my business. So that's why I said both of them are intertwined. So that was when I first got my, that's how I started my business. Yes, as a student.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chinelu, you can speak as well.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think for me, my first job, my experience is not like the other persons that have spoken. So for me, it was more like I finished school, I went back to Akure because I grew up in Akure. So, but one of the things that actually really helped me was knowing what I wanted. I knew I wanted to work as an auditor right from when I was in school. And what that meant was that I ensured that I already did the right things. Like, okay, I got a professional certification. I was already writing my ICANN while I was in school. And before I left school, I was almost chartered. And also, I worked towards getting a very good grade because the question, what are the things that actually helped me? I worked towards getting that the out there was really very competitive, and I can't deal with not having to deal with not having a good grade. I don't know, not knowing where to actually put myself. So I had to say, okay, I came out with a good grade, and also I started practicing GMAT as early as I could before I left school, because I know that most entry levels would always use GMAT as a way to get it entry level jobs. So for me, my first job really, I took my CV and I went to offices in Akure to just any tall building that looked like an office. I would work in there with my CV, and I would just tell them I wanted to work as an accountant, and they would be like, okay, so what can you offer? So that's where my conversations, and that's how I got my first job. So it was about me knowing what I wanted and make sure I already did the right homework before going out. So that was my experience.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinelo. Ms. Sandra, you can let us know how.
All right, thank you for letting me speak. So I think my first job would be post NYSC as a field sales rep with Smile Communications in Abuja, because I served in Abuja. And pretty much getting the job, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do in the beginning, because I was like, yeah, I studied history and international relations and all of those things, but getting the job as a field sales rep sort of put me in a position where I had to like interact with customers and also like the end users of the product. It put me in a position where I had to be sure that they were actually getting their money's worth. So that sort of like struck something in me. And then I was like, you know what, I think this is what I'm going to do. But what's, I think the other question you asked was what sort of like didn't work in my favor would be that after NYC, I sort of like looked for jobs, and a lot of people were like, oh, you're just leaving school, you don't have the experience. We're looking for people with 5 years experience, 2 years. I'm like, guy, if you do not employ me, how would I get the experience that I need? So the field sales rep job was just something that I could easily do, because it was like, okay, I didn't need any experience to do that. And it sort of like just created the path for me. So yeah, thank you for letting me.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Mr. UK, finally, you have something to say on that?
Okay. Yes, I do. The question got me thinking back. Yes, years ago. So after service, I served in Enugu State in 2014. I was kind of directionless. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had a flair for building connections and making a good network of people. And my first job came from that network. It's a really interesting story and a memory. My first job was in Abuja. I was working with a company that had to, their main aim was to help students get scholarship abroad, and it only lasted for like 2 months. It was my first time living in Abuja without family, and it was like immediately after my NYC. So I got it off a connection in the NYC that introduced me to somebody that was his uncle. It was just a lot of web connections there. It didn't last long, but it helped me discover that I know how to meet people and tell them what I want and get what I want from them. But that was how I got my first job.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone in the audience is listening. Like, if you have questions, please put your questions on the chat box. Like for me, I can already see people that have similar mindsets with the way I was, people that have things figured out, people that didn't have things figured out. So the question I'm even going to throw open to the panel for anybody to answer is, for those that have had to work in different places, would you say there was a reason why you had to move through different companies? Would you say there was a reason why you had to move through like from one company to the other? Like, what are those reasons why you had to move through, different companies? I guess Mr. Daniel is raising his hand.
Yes. So why did I move through different companies? That's the question, right?
Yeah, for those that have worked through different companies. Why do you move through?
Okay, so I heard from someone at some point in time, which I eventually found to be true, that the easiest way to increase your payments over time, your income basically over time, was to switch jobs. And that is because following through the normal trajectory of your current job won't exactly give you a reasonable increase in payments, over time. And so that was just the advice. And I thought about it, and I've seen it myself, where you literally could increase your income by 20, 30, 40% by changing jobs. And that's just in my own experience. And of course, apart from the money, which is also very critical, that's why we all work. The experience you get to have, over different places as well. I believe, of course, if what you're doing is your passion, you want to make sure you're making impacts in that area. And so for me, one of the other reasons why I've had to switch jobs is because I wanted to make impact in a certain dimension at a certain level, different from where I was making impact currently. And so I think those two areas are why I've had to switch jobs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Interesting. So if you have to move, if you have to increase your income, by a great amount, basically, it will pay you better if you have to switch between jobs. That takes away the faithfulness to a particular company. UK, please, you can go ahead, Mr. UK.
Okay, so just to add to what Daniel has said, because he has said a lot, I would say the reason I moved from my first job in Abuja to my second job was not just because of the money, it was because a second job afforded me the ability to stay closer to home. So people could move jobs for a variety of reasons. It could be to be with family, which was in one of my cases. The second one was because I discovered I needed a better challenge. It was not just about the money, it was where I am. I think I've peaked and I've reached the zenith of what I could do or achieve in this place, and I need to go to another place where I can start all over and peak again. So it's the drive to ultimately improve oneself regularly, and money is just an added bonus. Experience is an added bonus to that. So I think that is what I have to contribute. Those are been the driving factors behind my job switches.
Okay, that's very good. I don't think anyone else wants to speak. Oh, Ms. Chinelo, please, you can go ahead.
Oh, I thought we were going to have to take turns. So for me, the reasons why I switched job, okay, let me be factual. I don't want to say money first, but money was part of it because my first job wasn't paying so well. So like, why not? Why not get the money? You get what I mean? So like, I've gone to school and I've done well. I need to convert my certificate into making money, taking care of myself. So that was one of the reasons why I switched. But most importantly, I think the reason I switched was because I had not gotten into where I wanted to be in my career journey. I wanted to be an auditor, but my first job was an accounting job. And the next one after NYSC was a tax consulting job. So I needed to go through all the different experiences before I could finally land the kind of job I wanted. And for me, at every point in time before I left, I knew that I was no longer challenged mentally. I knew I could do so much more than what I was doing at that point in time. Say, okay, I keep on doing a job and it becomes a routine. I'm not learning anything new. I'm like, I'm too young for this. I want to gain more experience. I really want to be able to have versatile experience across different work areas. So for me, it was more of working towards my career path, my career goal, and also getting to learn as a young person because I knew that I could take it more at that time. And lastly, it was just because I wanted a good life. Yeah, being a Nigerian. So that was why.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Sinelo. I appreciate the honesty. So it's going to be a panel discussion. So until I see a raised hand, I will most likely, call anybody from the panel because I feel like the question might not apply to, everyone. So with all that being said, I think the next thing on my list that I think people would also like to know is, did you really have any major problem, like moving from being basically dependent to moving like being independent, basically translating from a campus student to a worker? Do you have any major problem, something you never had thought of before you left campus? Do you have any major problem? Can everyone hear me?
Sorry, I
Can you
love
repeat the question?
So the question is, did you have any major problem, like moving from being dependent, like being a campus student, having to get a source of income to actually being independent. So I believe being independent doesn't necessarily mean, you get a job, but like, I confidently believe that every one of you is independent one way or the other. Like, did you really have any major problem moving through these stages? Moving from the point where you actually get money to the point where you are the one actually, do you have any major problem that you can share with us? And, how did you eventually find the solution to that? Mr. UK.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. UK.
Okay, this is a very interesting question because I want to believe that everybody here has a different story to tell. And for me, I had been independent from a very young age. I schooled abroad from the age of 15 and I lived abroad for 5 years on my own, very little interference from my parents. So it kind of grew in me a mindset of fending for myself. And on coming back home, it was a big challenge getting used to the way things were down here. I could no longer fend for myself because my schooling abroad was on a scholarship by my state government. So no stipends were coming in any longer. And I didn't have the jobs I could do abroad. This was a big adjustment. Getting used to also the Nigerian parent lifestyle where your dad, your mom, you want one particular thing for you, and you know that is not your vision in life. It was a really big struggle at that period in life. And after my service, I've been doing one job here, one job here. None of them were really clicking, and I really felt useless. That is what I would use because I knew I could achieve things, but I didn't know the avenue with which to reach my full potential. So um, I became dependent on my parents, and this was coming from an independent mindset to become independent. I couldn't really take it, so I had to move out. I had to stay with a friend, and from that friend's house, I used to go to my job. And on coming to Lagos, I had to make a lot of radical decisions, go against the wills of many people, and won't find the money to bring my way all over because I knew that my vision for myself was something I really wanted to explore and fail if I needed to fail and make my own mistakes and grow from my own mistakes because the word here is that experience is the best teacher. So it's a journey for every person. I think everybody has a different journey, and mine has been unique in that way. There might be a lot of people that have the same kind of circumstances, having to move from the mom's house, dad's house, having to go out into the world and fend for themselves. I've always been a go-getter, so it was never difficult for me to take those decisions. But that is how I have transitioned over the past 7, 8, 9 years from where I was to where I am right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. That was very good. That was very good. Mr. Kenny.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying the discussion so far. So, I mean, for me, I kind of like relate to what Mr. UK shared. Growing up for me, I grew up with a lot of affluence and with a lot of wealth, right? And then up until like, primary school and then secondary school was a bit rough for my parents. And because it was rough, we had to face it. So, I mean, I going into the university, I mean, I didn't have so much. I knew that I needed to hustle. I needed to like, be I needed to like be independent, right? Because I was used to a lot of comfort, and I knew that that comfort that I truly desired wasn't going to come from my parents because they didn't have the money again, right? So for me, I guess it was just taking my opportunities, and which is one of like my favorite quotes. It's like, take your opportunity, more will come. If you take your opportunities, more will come. So for me, it's like when I was the ASU strike, when it came, it's like, you know what, man, I mean, of course, during ASU strike, I don't know about you guys now, but parents don't give us allowance. They weren't
That's
giving
right.
allowance. And then so for me, I needed to like, make money at that point in time. And so for me, it's like, okay, what can I do really? And I knew how to sell like, products, like knew how to sell myself. And people always compliment what I was wearing. I knew I needed to make the most out of that compliment, and I needed to transform that into wealth. And so I started with the shoe business, and then it was a bit rough. It was a bit rough going to Imbo market, and juggling school. My grade was, I needed, my grade was good at the time, and I needed to still maintain that. So it was a little bit challenging, like with school, your responsibilities as a student, and then going to the market, of course, trying to learn Yoruba, because people that were speaking, the people that were making the shoes for me were Yoruba. So I literally had to learn that language, just be able to be able to know the business, interact with them. And then eventually, before I broke into the fashion business, which is clothing itself, right? It was challenging, right? Going to school, going to the market, most of my clients were not students, right? They were my brother's friends, and then they were in Naija. So I'll transit all the way, to
Wow.
Aja, come to school. It was a lot, you required a lot of hard work. And for me, I needed to just go for it, right? I needed to go for it to just have the comfortable life that I wanted. And to an extent, I'll say it paid off. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. Just before I call Mr. Daniel and Mr. Chinelu, guys, spoken with all these people, personally, and I know some of them are friends to me, they are mentors, and really, I've started the question to you guys see, how much these guys have to offer. But I feel like it would only count because the rest part of this event would be, the questions that you as the audience have. What questions do you have based on, what you have been sharing so far? And the personal question you have about your future in general that you don't have figured out. We are going to be able to, ask the audience as well. We'll be able to attend to your personal question, and you'll be able to get a response. And if you have further questions on that, you can still ask the questions as well. So just wanted to mention that so that people can, be aware that it's not just about the questions that I'm putting up, it's also the questions, for the audience as well. Mr. Daniel, what do you have to say concerning the discussion at hand?
Okay, thank you very much, Damilari, to the speakers that have, given their opinions. For me, there were three major challenges. One being, and so my parents' house was in Ogun State, right? And so that's where I sort of lived most of the later part of my young years, I would say. And so why I'm saying that is because most of the tech firms or the tech bubble was in Lagos, you have Andela on the right, and and all of that. And so it was very difficult getting a job in the States, because I'm talking, this is pre-COVID era. Nobody was into remote, into the remote life as it is today. And so that was a major problem. So very much like Mr. UK, I had to move to Lagos. I remember staying with my uncle, for some time, just to ensure that I can get a job here in Lagos. And so I remember I was working on the island. So I'll go from the mainland to the island 5 a.m. every day, I'm coming back that evening because I needed to, of course, beat the catch-22 situation, like I mentioned earlier. Second point, apart from the geographical restriction, was I had this, I don't know how to term it, but I'll say family, in positions. I don't know if that's the right word now. And so my father had, a path for me. He had a chain of businesses, and in a sense, he wanted me to be present there. Even apart from that, he also had an idea of what my life should be. He wanted a role for me and all of that. And so I didn't agree with it because, because that was not my passion, and also I had, instinctively, I knew what I had to do to sort of get out of that situation, which involved me leaving the house completely, because there was no way that would have worked out if I had stayed there listening to him every single day. This is what you have to do, this is what you don't have to do. It's like, this is what I think I should do. This is what I trust, I should be doing. And so, again, first, geographical restriction. Two, I had this barrier of family ideas that I had to break off. And also, I'll still term the last point I was going to mention, the last challenge too, I was going to mention, under the geographical restriction, because where I'm working right now, I'm not, it's in Germany, I'm right here in Lagos, in case you're wondering. And so back then, it wasn't a possibility because how would that work? Because people didn't believe that you could work out of the office as they think today. And so it took COVID and a bunch of other things, for that to happen. And so times have changed, and so I think it's a very good opportunity for people to take advantage of that the times have changed. You can literally be anywhere, even as a student, and be working remotely. I think that's a possibility now that I had to overcome back then. And so yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. Ms. Sandra, you also have something to say to this discussion.
Yes, I do. And I think for me, it would be pretty much pressure that I put on myself. So pretty much it's like, you're the first child, I've trained you to school, and I felt like, yes, it was now my job to literally like fend for the family. Like, my parents have done so much more for me to like go through school. So it was pretty much like a challenge that I had to face, where it's like I put that pressure on myself, where it's like I need to get a job, I need to move from being dependent on my parents to being able to like fend for them and just be able to take care of my family. I think one other challenge would be a challenge that I self-imposed on myself, which was more of, I felt, maybe because I was a stammerer or I'm a stammerer, and I felt like I was not good enough to look for certain kind of jobs, and I just literally like just stayed back at home. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to get a job. Nobody's going to want to employ someone that stammers. Nobody would want to go through an interview faced with someone that stammers. So it sort of like limited me a whole lot, and I felt like I could just do anything to get by. But I can boldly say that reverse is the case now, because it's working in my favor, and I'm not going to let that be a limitation to achieving what I can achieve. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wow, that's impressive. Like, even stammering can work in your favor if you use it, the right way. Ms. Chinelo, I saw your hands up. Did you have something to say?
Yes, I do. So the challenges I faced when I was trying to transition from being dependent to becoming independent was, first off, I was forced to grow up very fast because I lost my dad when I was about entering 200 level. So like, I didn't necessarily have a choice than to be independent. Do you get what I mean? So it kind of forced, because I'm a second child as well, and I knew in my head that every child had a time frame. So like, if you don't finish school at the time they plan for you to finish school, you get what I mean? Somebody else has to take up the role. So it was just like, it was so real. So I had to just make use of every opportunity I had. So for me, growing up in that kind of setting pushed me to look out for very easy jobs I could do during the holidays. I would go for internship. I would just internship anywhere in Akure, because that's where I grew up. I didn't grow up in Lagos. Then after that phase of having to adjust becoming an independent person at that time, I also had to juggle writing my professional exam and also working at the same time, and also taking care of my family at that time. Then afterwards, I remembered after NYSC, when I came down to Ogun State to serve, the major issue I had was that I didn't know anyone in Lagos to stay with. So like, and I knew that as a graduate, the best life, the best jobs are all in Lagos. So I had a challenge of having to figure out where to stay, how to remain remain in Lagos without having to count on anyone. So for me, after NYC, the option I had was, is either I got a job or I was going back home. And I didn't want to go back home. So it kind of forced me to face my reality, really. I would apply for every job I saw online, and I would just have conversations with people like I knew needed a job and all of that. And also the reality for me, the market was full. We had so many graduates, so many jobless persons, so many people that were looking for jobs. So for me, I started doubting myself. Do I have what it takes to, really compete in the real world? Because I had so many people who were also graduated like me, who were already chartered. So what makes me different? So I had that in my head for so long. Like, I wasn't too certain that I could really compete well. So it was a personal restraint, and also the reality of being a Nigerian, and also having to stay in Lagos. And then lastly, my dad passing away. So those are my challenges, having to, those are the challenges I had to face. Then dealing with them was what made me transition into becoming independent. And at the end of everything, I think one thing that stood out to me was I was very resilient. I didn't give up. Like, giving up was not an option back then. So that was it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And while she was speaking, it just came to my mind. I don't know if anybody also relates to this. I feel like this is a follow-up question based on what all the speakers have said. I think for me, growing up in like in a very small world, like primary school education, then you move to like secondary school education. If you manage to still be the best student, like being dropped in the university, where you literally see people that are like a ton of people that actually are doing way better than you are doing academically. People that are doing way better than like skill wise. Like you see how fierce the competition is, like right from the university. Like now think of that, like now you are in the real world where it's not just your university guys looking for jobs. Like you have every other person from like different schools, different universities looking for job as well. People that even have certificates abroad. I just really think about that. Like, what do you guys do to hedge yourself against this competition? Because as I think about it, I'm like, it's already overwhelming because I'm a Unilag student, being a Unilag student, and knowing a ton of Unilag students that are better than I am, smarter than I am, have way, way better skills than I have. So how do I edge the competition? Like, how do I really put myself out there without, having to be like them? Because to be honest, some people actually enjoy a lot of things that I don't enjoy, like reading all the time and all these other things. So I just really want to know. And I think I'm speaking for like a good number of people as well. So Mr. Kenny, I saw your hands up earlier.
All right. Thanks once again. That's a very, very interesting question. So how do you try when you have a lot of people that are better than you? I think first and foremost is self-belief. You must always believe in yourself. I think that's one of the things that, held me back, even at the university. When I was in university, I know that for me, for final year students in Unilag, if you don't make your first class in 300 level, before 300 level, you can't get it for sure. It's never happened, right? And then for me, I mean, during my time, I'm like, this is not me. I believe in myself. I believe I'm going to have this. And then I actually pursued it, right, in my final year, and I eventually got it because I set up the goals for myself and I went after it. So I think first thing is self-belief. You must believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, believe in what you can do. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then even if you have all the opportunities, right, you're not going to amount to them, right? I think second thing is setting up goals is very important. Setting up goals is very, very important for yourself as well. I'm sure you guys know what the SMART goals are. Make sure that they are specific, measurable, just set up goals and then step up to the responsibility for the goals that you've set. Because sometimes setting up goal is the easiest thing to do. I mean, everybody wants to make money, right? But then what is money really? Are you stepping up to the responsibility of making that money that you truly want? You need to step up to that responsibility. What that means is that, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to be disciplined in this area? Do I need to take this course? And do I need to do, whatever it is that you need to do to step up to the responsibility of the goals that you set? That's very important. And three, take your opportunities. As I said, if you take your opportunities, more will come. Always have to take your opportunities as they come. So if it's the opportunity of learning the course, because you've taken that opportunity to learn the course, another opportunity will create itself where you can apply what you learned, right? And then there's always an opportunity for it. I mean, it's like there's always an opportunity for everyone, and don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. There's always an opportunity. Just take up the opportunity. Like for me at the university, when I got my job, I mean, even though I went for the interview, it was good, but then for some reason there were bits like there were a bit of glitches, at the interview. But for some reason, I just knew I was gonna get it right. I knew I was gonna get it, and I just knew I was gonna get it, and eventually I did get it right. And of course, now when I got into university, okay, now what would I do? Right, I needed to now still be able to do my business, be able to merge it together. Do you understand? So it's like, okay, now this opportunity of a federal job, gives me time to be able to do my other business. Now I'm taking the opportunity to do my business. My store is very close to University of Lagos, which I can always dash in, dash out, right? So literally that's just it. I don't want to keep on talking. Self-belief, set up your goals, step up to the responsibility, and take your opportunities. because more will come. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate take your opportunities because more will come. Like I thank you very much, Mr. Kenny, for that. I really appreciate it. You said that now repeatedly, and I think I'm gonna hold on to that. Like while I have the opportunities I have now, I should make the most, of the opportunity. Mr. Daniel, please go ahead. Mr. Daniel, please go ahead. Can you hear me?
I think UK's hand is up, so you can.
Okay.
It's up as well. Yeah, Mr. UK.
Mr. UK, that was I didn't see your hand earlier.
Okay, sure. Thank you for what you shared, Kenny. And just to add to it, right? The question is, how do you put yourself out there and edge your competition? So, I speak from a personal perspective. From a young age, I won't say young age, but over time, during school and growing out of school, I developed a maxim for myself. A maxim, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a personal phrase that is the baseline by which you live your life. And my maxim has always been, man, know thyself. It is by Socrates, the great Greek philosopher. Um, that maxim stands as the baseline by which I've always approached life. So from a young age, while I was in school, I knew that I was smart. I knew that I was smart. However, I knew that I was not the brightest. I knew that there were always mountains that I would scale. I knew people that were far smarter than me.
Sure.
I knew the people that would come out with a first class distinction. But because I lived by that phrase, I knew what I wanted to do. I had to know myself in the moment. For example, I decided, and I'm not going to stress myself and be fighting for an A plus plus. A plus plus in my school or an A plus is like 95 and above. I was just going to settle for an A because I didn't want to go through that stress. I knew myself in that moment and I knew what I could do and what I didn't want to do. So I went for the grade I wanted. And I asked myself, okay, how do I give myself an edge over these people? What is it about me that can sell me above like the knowledge others have or the smartness or how more intelligent they are than me, right? And for me, it was my ability to really have good conversations with people. Um, I won't say I'm very good at endearing myself with people, but I knew how to build a good network of individuals around me. And it helped me develop a solid circle of friends that we could push ourselves to greater heights. And even in my career, joining institutions and bodies where I could network and meet people of greater caliber that could help me achieve the goals I needed to achieve in life. So at every stage I was in life, I had to reaffirm my maxim to myself, man, know thyself. I had to know myself at every level I was in life and say, oh, this is where I am. This is where I want to get to. What can I do to get from point A to point B? Oh, who can help me get from point A to point B? Because I'd come to the realization that nobody's an island. Nobody can wake up and become a billionaire the next morning. Nobody can achieve anything on their own. You must have people to help you get to that point. And coming from a country where we are neck deep in nepotism, father help their son get a ministerial position or this position. You see that these people had corrupted the ability to really help people. So you have to build your network for yourself to get the help you desire. You need to be of value to the people that could help you. And that was the major thing for me. Like um, when there were challenges, the question come up. That was the major thing for me that helped me overcome or in those periods of time get an edge over others. So I could go into a room. My mindset is, who's the top dog in this room? Who's the person that can help me achieve what I want in this room? Or who are the people that I could reach out to? And I have to endear myself to them. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Say, hi, my name is UK. This is what I do. How are you? I get to know one or two things about them, get the conversation going, and say, oh, wow, I'm in tech. I'm looking to move into banking. If there are any positions in your bank, let me know. I'll be interested. And honestly, My jobs, all I have gotten so far in Lagos has been as a result of networking. My first job that brought me to Lagos was a friend from abroad that referred me. My second job that I landed in a bank, it was a network in a Toastmasters meet that referred me. My latest job, which I'm working with Ericsson, another friend. So it's all about knowing the right people, because God only blesses humans through people. But don't just know them, be of value to them. Because I wouldn't have gotten to get all these opportunities if I was not of value to those people. And from a personal perspective, I think it gave me an edge over the smart guys. Because over the journey of life, right, you must also have one ability, like Chinelo said, resilience. Because I can confidently say here that I've applied over 1,000 or 2,000 jobs in my lifetime, and I've not
Wow.
gotten all of them. There are times where I have failed, and there are times where I was at the last stage. The last stage, somebody just needs to sign and say, "Wow, you did well." Last stage, and I failed. Those times they can be demoralizing. But like the Bible says, a wise man falls down 7 times, and picks up themselves all the time. I have to pick back myself and say, okay, what did I do well? What did I not do well? Who could have given me an edge? And what did I discover in going through my career? Why am I applying for jobs? There are jobs that are not put online. There are people that know open positions. Why don't I get in touch with those people and get referred? Most of my jobs have come from referral. I no longer go through the normal HR process. I skip the line. I believe in smart work, not hard work, and applying the wisdom God has given us in order to navigate life. That is why I always stick by the maxim, man, know thyself. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you very much, UK. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate how you emphasized on connections, because I'm the person that when I'm in a room, I don't want to speak to the next person. But I think seeing how much value you speaking to the next person, putting yourself out there, and just being of value, that means you have to have something to offer these people as well. I think I really appreciate that. Because I actually can do that. I just have not been doing that because I'm not seeing how important that is going to be. So, Mr. Daniel, I'll let you speak now.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Mr. UK and Kennedy Barua, Mr. Kennedy Barua, for your opinions. Very, very apt as well. I think everything that could be said has been said. To be honest, I'll just add a bit of that. So there's this saying that if there's a gold rush, don't go digging for gold, sell shovels. And so what it means in essence is you always have to find a unique or distinguishing factor from your competition, right? And so one of the things that helped me, in my career is I observe trends and patterns, and I ask myself, if everybody is going left, should I go left? What are the chances of me succeeding if everybody's going left? Because unlike UK, I don't think I'm smart or bright. I think I was the brightest person in the room growing up in school. And I'm also somewhat lazy in a sense. I don't work as hard as people think, or as hard as my peers back then. And so I look for the parts of least resistance, right? And of course, to achieve this, you need to be extremely knowledgeable. You have to be, as the news coming, you have to be aware. Of course, that goes down practically to networking with people, and also being as knowledgeable in your field as you should be. That is how you can find the gaps. It's all about finding the gaps. So while I was in school, I looked at, okay, even in tech field, tech is broad. Everybody's doing this and this and this and that. What can I do that will be absolutely unique, that would distinguish me, and very much like I said, would stop me from joining the gold rush and allow me sell the shovel in that case in point. And so that's really what helped me. And so I was out there looking for knowledge, trying to find what is absolutely unique. What are people not seeing? What is the gap here? That's what really helped me. Very much like I did a lot of applications. I did a lot of applications. I tell people that if you go to my Gmail and then you type unfortunately, you'll see 100 of many, 500 of many. And I wasn't just doing it because I like to apply for fun. It's not a hobby. It's not a hobby to get rejections every single day. And so I was doing it because it's sort of a brute force approach, but there's a wisdom to it. I was trying to find out specifically what tech recruiters wanted and how they actually select, people. And so after I get the rejections, I don't just say, "Oh, it's the end of my life. Wow, you're sorry for you, my village people, this and that." No, I asked them, what's really making the best candidates in this selection? Because it's a game. And you'll tell me this and go back to my I had a sheet, and okay, this is what I should have done, this is what I'm missing, this is what I'm missing. And it's like came up with a very, very robust pattern that worked for me that I've been using over the years. And so again, back to my point, gold rush, don't go selling gold, or don't go digging for gold, sell shovels, because everybody digging for gold, we need shovel. And so it's about finding the gaps, being so knowledgeable in that area where you can observe and into secrecy and oddity. And then you can say, okay, this is where I have to put myself in. And so, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. That was good as well. I think of that, and it sounds to me, like the head behavior, like, one person moves this direction, every other person is doing the same thing. You just need to find what is everybody going to need. I don't think I've thought about that, like even right down to coming to school as well. Like people usually used to want one thing, like everybody wants to be a doctor, by the time they want to enter university. But I'll leave that so that I can allow Ms. Chinelo to speak as well.
Wow, like I've learned so much from every other person that's spoken before now. And it feels like, oh, I think I'm one of the persons, learning from each other right now. But thank you so much for what you guys just shared. It was really profound. So I think in addition to everything you guys have shared, I would say, because you guys are still in school, the persons who are speaking to right now are still in school. Like as a student, get the best you can from that environment. There's nothing like say, oh, this is what I can do. Like I know yourself, no doubt, but please, why not get the best out of that environment? Because there's so many people out there that are also best at what they do. So what makes you different? You want to make sure that you've gotten the best, like your professional your exams, like if you can get a first class, work, but if you cannot second class, like just make sure you get the out of what you're doing right now. And that thing again, if you know the career path you want to follow later on in life, you can start, researching what are the professional exams that are required field, because if you want to go into tech, there's some exams you must have written before you can get your first job. Why not start writing those exams? Why not start saving to and also if there are internship opportunities that will help you learn the career path you want to work on, why not start applying for those internship right now? Don't wait until when you're done. I've been on ASU strike for the longest time. How many persons have really tried to get an internship opportunity? You don't want to misuse any opportunity that you have. So for me, it was more of that back then, but there's always been a God factor, because fine, you can even do everything and it's still God. For me, I believe that it's God that gives jobs. I don't know. People don't believe that, but wow, I believe like I can do everything. And if God doesn't want me to get it, I will not get it. So there's always that role of you understanding that God, I'm not necessarily be the best person in the room, but I just want you to favor me and just single me out amongst the crowd. So always remember to put God in everything you do, because Bible also helped me see that whenever I acknowledge God in Proverbs 3 verse 5, that I should trust in the Lord with all my heart, and I should also acknowledge in all my ways, and it will direct my path. So that part is very, very important. And also the last thing is that I had to always surround myself with people that are like-minded. Like, I know where I'm going to. I don't want to be in a group of relationship where I won't get the right push. Like, I know where I'm going. So if you're not helping me to get there, what are we doing together? So you need to say that you're around people that really push you towards your goals. Because sometimes you will get tired. Sometimes you don't feel like doing anything because you'll be getting rejection, just like what Daniel has said. Are you not going to give up? Imagine that you have friends that can actually push you. You get to have, okay, don't worry, it didn't go well, but I'm here to support you. I'm here to, encourage you. So be with the right people at all times. And also, if possible, you can get a mentor as early as possible. You could, if you ask someone you're looking up to in a way, for me, I don't think a mentor is someone that you cannot speak to. Your mentor is someone that you can speak to, someone that can actually hear you. In case sometimes you need advice, you don't want to just sit down there trying to figure out everything by yourself. Have mentors, communicate what you want, and just be open-minded towards people sharing their experiences with you. It also help you, figure out life very fast. That way you don't have to experience what everybody has experienced before you get there. And lastly, for me, it's about work on yourself. What I mean is that for me, I've always known that communication was my biggest issue. I didn't see myself communicate as well as I wanted to communicate. So I started learning to watch videos online, like, just extend my vocabulary, like, just, okay, how do I posture myself? How do I convince people whenever I talk to them? So, like, even at your leisure time, watch videos that can actually improve your skills, and there's so many there's so many exams online that you can take that you don't have to pay for. Start exploring that. What I'm not trying to say at the very end is that there's always going to be an opportunity for you to improve yourself, but you need to see it and make use of it. So that is what actually has really helped me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinelo. I have an upcoming question for the God factor, because a good number of you have mentioned that, and I'm going to get to that very soon. Ms. Sandra, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Damilare, and thank you to everyone that has shared as well. So I think for me, I think one of the things would be setting a goal. So backstory as to when I finished uni in 2014-ish, I had a goal, like I had a 5-year goal for myself. And in that space of 5 years, it was more of, I was going to get a master's degree. I was going to do certain things for myself before getting to a particular age and all of those things. And fast forward to after leaving uni and doing NYSC, I applied for a job as a client relationship officer, but for some weird reason, I didn't get the job. In fact, at the interview, the lady was like, well, we think you're good, but I'm not sure you're the best fit for the role. I think we have a position for a front desk officer. And that sort of like put me in a position where like, I think I stammered like 1, 2, 3 times during the interview. Maybe that's why she thinks I'm not good for the job. And I've said this to just point out that take opportunities regardless of how small it is. I think I could have said, oh, I wasn't going to do the job because yes, I applied for a client relationship officer. Why would you give me the role of a front desk? But again, I was like, you know what? I was going to prove to this person that regardless of the position that I would get, I was going to do my best. I started at the job as a front desk officer, and pretty much at the job, I felt, okay, I think this person has put me in a box. I was going to show that I could be more. And that is one of the things where it's like you learn pretty much, you upskill, pretty much, the kind of things that would help you grow through like the job. I understood that I wanted to grow. I didn't want to remain at that position. So I started my master's even as a front desk officer at the job, and I didn't limit myself to just being a front desk officer. So my colleagues at that time would go out, they would go for trainings, they would come back, I would ask them, please, can I see the training material? Can I see certain things that you guys use during the course of the training? And I will read. Times where they will say, oh, we have a lot of things to do upstairs. I'm like, okay, I think I am free. It's not like I'm receiving phone calls or I'm directing clients and all of those things. Can I assist you guys? And just being at that position made me actually grow through the ranks at the job. And that was like the first time that pretty much someone would ever grow at the job, like moving from a front desk. Imagine growing as a front desk, then becoming a relationship officer, and then growing to actually being in charge of a team of 8 people. Like literally, I had to move through. So it's like persevering and also knowing that you can do everything. Just set a goal for yourself. Identify the skills that you have. I figured that, yes, I didn't want to be here. I figured that I could be better. I could be more. I wasn't going to let the thoughts these people had about me, oh, she stammers, maybe she can't speak to clients and all of those things. But I put myself in a space where like, see, look at me, I am right in your face. I am here. And I think that is sort of the thing that worked for me at the job. So I think I've said all of this to just say that persevere, set a goal for yourself, know what you have to do, and just go for it. Regardless, what will be, will be. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, every of the speaker. Like I didn't put my hands together. I think for me, I don't know how anybody sees this as very intriguing, but the fact that somebody stammers and they have to be the front desk speaking with different customers, like basically that's the most important thing you need is how to speak properly, and the fact that she got selected for the role and she grew through the ranks. Like for me, what are my excuses? And now we are done with the questions I have in I have for myself personally, which is sad by the way, because I even as they're speaking, I still have more questions because I'm just thinking about the different things they've mentioned and how specific they could be. And I think I'm going to go to the question, from the audience as they send them in. And I'll be expecting the audience to send in, more personal questions. Each one of these people, you've seen their flyers, you know where they work. They mentioned the roles that they do. A good number of them are working remote. There's a business guy here, like he's been doing business, ask customers how he started, all these things. These people they are making good money and they are doing it the best way I can say it actually has to be done. So guys, put in your questions. Can direct it personally to them. You can ask in general. You want them to talk about this. People are going to answer your questions. Like this is a one-time opportunity. That's why we brought all these guys here. That's why we let you guys know that we are ready to meet your needs. So straight to the point, I'm going to go to the first questions I have here. What are the fears during your transition to the better life? I feel like a couple of people have mentioned this, but like more specifically, like what are the fears of your transition into a better life? Like this could be, I don't know what this person meant, but I feel like this could be, maybe as you're even moving across the jobs, from this good job to a better job, maybe for timing, for location, for family sake, or even why you started the journey in the first place. Like you know where you want to go, you want to have a better life, you want to have your life like this. What are the fears that you had, and how were you able to overcome all these different fears? Because I have a couple and I can mention them as examples. Mr. UK, please go ahead.
Okay. So this is a very interesting question because there is no point during our whole life where we will stop being fearful. And I believe in the sense that every individual should have a larger than life dream or larger than life belief in the of, like Ken, they say, believing in yourself so much that you do not allow your fears cripple you. And what is courage? Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is the ability to move forward despite fears. So to answer the question, what were some fears I had? Um, there have been different fears over the years. Coming back home, right? I feared not really being accepted by my family because I've lived away from them for a long time. Everything felt alien to me. I felt the fear of failure because I didn't come from a wealthy family where there was safety or there's a cushion to catch me if I fail in anything. And there were times where I did fail. And I remember during the MMM era, the get rich era, right? I lost a lot of money. There was no net. And that was my first battle with depression. I was so depressed that I understand what depressed people go through. I was depressed. I didn't eat for like a month or 2 months. And those were fears like having debt because I live a frugal lifestyle where I cannot really bear owing somebody something. Having debt that I'm unable to pay was a fear. And there have been various fears, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure or whatever I do. But what has helped me has been a lot of life belief, that is a bigger than life belief, successful. I've always known I'll be successful. So my fears sometimes will push me down, but I will always rise up. And how have I overcome those fears? It has never been by myself. It has been with the help of family, with the help of God. There were times when I was not even a disciple at that time. I would pray, I would fast, I would do midnight. What have I not done? Because I knew that, oh wow, if I could get a divine supernatural encounter or help, all these issues in our life would just go. But there were times those things didn't pull through, and I'm really grateful to my mom because my era of my period of depression, she would always come to the room and call me and say things will be better. That there's always tomorrow, and that affirmment and reaffirmment that she did every day gave me strength. When I mean I was not eating, I was literally not eating, fasting like I was not eating. I was just lying there after losing almost all my life money, and I was just lying on the ground for days on end. I was at belief, and African parents don't really know how to deal with depression. They're like, what are you doing? African kids, they don't get depressed, but it got to that point they knew that this child, something is seriously wrong, and you have to pick yourself up because the world never ends when you fail. There's always a tomorrow. Even the Bible says it, that no man can know tomorrow. So why worry? Why not just do what you can do? Pray and leave the rest in God's hand. And the fact that I'm here today, I'm a disciple, I'm okay in my career, it has all been because God gave me that strength and the courage to stand up and say, what can I do next? Will this be my first failure? And it helped me with my journey. Right now, I have a mindset of money. That money cannot rule me. Money is just a tool. If I didn't go into those, if I experience what I have experienced with loss, with overcoming those fears, I would never have realized money is a tool. I could lose 200 million naira today or $10 million, and I will not be shaken because I know myself. I know that it's just a tool, and I can always get it back. So it's about number one, believe in yourself, believe in God, having a good, if you don't have family, at least a good network of friends around you that are achievers and will always watch out for you. And number four, having the courage to always rise up when you fall. Having the courage to know that this
God,
is from a fear mindset to a
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Can everyone hear me?
You there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, thank you very much. I think my network is actually breaking. I can't even explain it. Well, Mr. Daniel, I don't know if Mr. UK is done. Mr. UK, are you done?
yes, I'm done.
Yeah, thank you very much. My network started breaking towards the end. And I think for me, I appreciate what you said. Money is a tool. I don't see life that way. And I think I actually am going to take that seriously now, understanding that money is just a tool. Thank you very much. Mr. Daniel, please, you can go ahead. I'm really not sure if you guys can hear
Yeah,
me.
thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah, I
Daniel.
can hear you. Yes. Thank you also, Mr. Yuki. I think you shared everything I was going to even share. As just there'll always be fears. I think having that fear is a good sign that you're actually doing something bigger than yourself. And so there will always be fears from time to time as you push yourself. You will never, the only time you would not be afraid is if you are doing something beneath you. And then, okay, yes, you're confident that you can. Before you're doing something great, you have to be afraid because there are a lot of possibilities that could be negative as well. And so, just sharing specifically about what I mean, as I moved from job to jobs, like I did mention, paycheck was a critical factor for me because I had a lot of dependencies in a sense. But also, the level of impact I wanted to make as I moved from job to job, like I did mention, was something very with Kennedy Barrowa some time ago when I told him I was going to get this new job. It was a senior role. And I was like, I've never been a senior before in my entire life. You know, how am I sure I'm a senior? What if I'm a scam? So there's something called imposter syndrome. And it happens a lot to people outside of tech where you just do things that you just feel you're a scam, literally. And so that's how I felt. You know, a scam. How did I get here all of a sudden? You know, but of course, very much trusting in God and just putting the work. You eventually surprise yourself how over time you realize that I'm actually beyond this. I think I should try something else. And so it boils down to again trusting God, trusting yourself as well. You have to be your number one cheerleader, you know, literally every single day. And then you have to put in the necessary work, you know, be graceful to yourself. Like I did mention, you're a cheerleader, be grateful to yourself. When you do fall, you eventually would fall. You know, you must be willing to pick yourself up. You know, applications, you know, and I'm sure that won't be the end of the day for me if I single day. You have to learn to that's what I want to share. Sorry, I'm muted if you're speaking.
Yeah, thank you. Like I'm having some network problems. I got a good amount of what you said, and I think you did a great job. I think what I appreciated that you said, you know, is the courage, like the fact that, you know, you mentioned the even imposter syndrome, where, you know, you are now bothered if, you know, the next big thing that you're supposed to do, you can actually get it done. I think I'm in that place now. I'm in that place where I want to take a very risky step, and I'm like, am I really ready for this next step? And you just sharing that, even if I couldn't get clearly, was really helpful for me. Like, you know, like I just need to take it. I wouldn't know until I do take it. Thank you very much. So the questions are coming in, and there are a lot of them already, and more are still coming in. So I'm trying to work with, you know, the more specific question, you know, to different speakers. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yes, sure, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. My screen is a bit freezed. That's why I'm asking, because I'm not seeing any movement. So the next question here is, at what point is your learning confident enough to get a job placement? At what point is your learning confident enough to get a job placement? I can see your Kenny, Mr. Kenny, I can see your hands up. You want to say something, please, to this question?
Okay, yes, I just want to say something quickly. I'm going to read a quote by Aristotle, right? I believe this question is for Femi Siri. So the quote says, for the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. And then, because your question is very, very important. Let me just look at the chat again. You said, sorry, at what point is your learning confident enough to get a job placement? And you said, how do you know when to stop iterating your learning and start working? And that's it, really. You never stop learning. You know, you never stop learning. And then to know that you actually have learned what you actually, put your mind to, is you put it into test. That's it. Basically, put what you're learning into test. It doesn't even have to be on a very large scale. It can be just as that Mr. Daniel shared. You know, it could have been something, okay, you know what, just doing something small scale, you know, working with people that already have these experiences, you know, it doesn't have to be a paid job, right? It can just be something that, okay, I've learned this thing. Okay, you know what, every opportunity that I get to put my learning into the test, I just take it until like the opportunity for me to now prove myself that will not be paid would come, you know, basically. So I would just say for you, continue to learn and continue to put continue to learn, continue to put your learning into the test. We never stop learning. The day we stop learning is the day we stop dying. We start dying, actually. So we learn every day, pretty much. Just that's my answer to that. Just keep learning. And yeah, that's my answer for that. Thanks
Thank
for
you
allowing
very
me to speak.
much, Mr. Kenny. That was, I think the quotes already gave an idea to the answers to the questions. Thank you very much. I also benefited from that, from the answer of that question. Mr. Daniel, do you want to answer this question as well? Mr. Arawasi.
Yeah, just to add to what Kenyon said, very, very apt as well. We never stop learning. If you're in tech, you have to learn literally every single day of your life because things change. But one hack I found out, over the years, I think I shared with a couple of people. Say, for example, I want to get a role for an internship or for, intermediate to maybe senior level role for a job at Google, right? And so I go to LinkedIn and I check for employees that meet that criteria. Okay, what does this employee know? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? I might even go chat them up, right? And so they'll tell me, you have to know X, Y, Z, and or I look at their LinkedIn profile, you have to know X, Y, Z, and be good, literally. And I do that with about 4 or 5 people in just about the same role. It take for me to be in that role, right? And so if I have crossed all of that in my learning path to a certain degree, then I might as well start applying. Because now again, I'm speaking in a very, very broad, spectrum. I don't want to go into, the niche I'm in, which is tech, because if you just apply and you do not have the specific knowledge, you might just, keep getting rejected, forever. And so I feel like there needs to be some strategy and calculation to it. And so if you follow this paradigm, over the years, if you follow this paradigm, as like I just mentioned, that I've done, I think you should be a lot more successful than you're not, in determining when you are able to apply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. I really appreciate your response as well. Somebody's already thanking you on the chat as well. So the next question is, must you work in line with the course you studied in school? I would like to direct this question to Ms. Sandra specifically. Must you work in line with the course you studied in school? Is that a must?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So if I heard you correctly, you said, must you work in line with the course you studied in school? That's the question you asked, right?
Yes, that's the question I asked.
Well, I don't think so, because for me, undergraduate, I studied history and international relations. For my master's, I did history and strategic studies. And where am I now? I work in the CX, customer experience. So I do not think that you need to work in line with the course you studied. I think that technology has really made it easy for us to work any and everywhere. Where it's like you don't need to say because, oh, I studied this, I must work in this line. To be very honest, I feel like a lot of us have different skills. In your day-to-day activity, you possess different skills and you try to use these skills. There are some of us that are really good at bargaining. Like you go to the market and you bargain so well. That person has something for sales. You do not necessarily have to say that, okay, maybe because I'm studying law and all of those things, but you really can have a profession in any field in as you understand what it is you want to do and you're able to like put yourself in line like for success, where it's like learn. There are a lot of LinkedIn courses, like free courses that you could actually learn. And it's just pretty much you figuring what it is that you want to do. Figuring it like just, yes, I think I want to move into this industry, because you can wait forever. For me, after school, I wanted to get a job as a diplomat. Imagine if I am still waiting to get a job as a diplomat. I don't think I'll be here. I'll still be jobless. But I decided to put my skills. I decided to put, yes, I think I am a people's person. I like to resolve people's issues. I decided to put that is, even though I don't like sales, I don't like to convince people. Like, I hate it. And I think that with sales, I would have to talk, and all of those things. But I found out that, yes, I could resolve people's issues. And with customer experience, it's like, as a lawyer, that's when I would do something. No, you can actually use the skills that you have. A lot of us have like different skills that we have, which we use in our day-to-day activities. Some are very good at communication, like you have great communication skills. So imagine having a good communication skill. You could work as a digital marketer, or you could even work as a virtual assistant. Just pretty much being able to just harness the skills that you have personally would help you pretty much land a job, also with you developing yourself. So I think that is all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sandra. I think she set it up. The questions are really rolling in. Like, I have a lot of questions now. I'm beginning to question if we can actually go through them all. But I'll just go with the next one on my list. He says, I'm trying to see how best to put it. Did you always know what to do? Were there times where you were actually clueless about what you want to do career-wise? Like, have you guys already figured out? Because everybody keeps saying, you know what you want, know what you want, know what you want. What if I'm at a place where I don't know what I want? Like, I haven't figured out what I want yet. Like, did you always know what to do? Was there a point where you figured out what you wanted and how? Wow, Mr. Kenny, you can go ahead. More people can speak as well.
All right. That's a very interesting question. I mean, if you had told me like maybe like 7 years ago that I'll probably be lecturing at the University of Lagos, I'll call you a false prophet. That's because, lecturing was not one of the things I wanted to do, but for some reason I had a good grade. I was offered the opportunity to lecture, right? And then I took it because, with lecturing, it comes researching and you're exposed to an area of knowledge, right? And then, of course, because of my business as well, that gives me also time to be able to do my business as well, because I truly want to be able to do employed, basically. So I didn't know what I really wanted to do, right? And I guess sometimes a lot of people feel that a lot of people feel that when you don't know what you want to do, then it's bad. I even feel that's the best, when you don't even know what you want to do, because now you have you have an area of things that you can put your hands to. Now you can now narrow it down to like, okay, what do I really enjoy? What are the skills that I have? What are the skills that I can take? What are the courses I can take now, right? And then be able to now leverage on those things. For me, I didn't know what I really wanted to do, to be honest. Even as an academia, right? National doing now is urban analytics, right? Which is kind of like different from what I'm doing. So sometimes, as you evolve, you keep discovering different things. And the most important thing is just making sure that, at every time you just leverage on the opportunities, and until you seal it down to what exactly you want to do. So I guess that's my response as regards that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. That was good. Mr. UK, I saw your hands up. I don't know if you are still interested in speaking. If you're not, are you still interested in speaking, Mr.
I did want to speak about this, so I would like to give others the opportunity so we can address that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. Ms. Chinelo.
Okay. The question really is very good, because I did figure out life on the go. Do you get what I mean? So what I mean is that it's okay, just like Kenny said, it's okay for you to be at that phase because I don't want you to have pressure. I don't want to put undue pressure on yourself where it feels like, oh, I'm the only one that is different. But what can you do? So the question really was that I didn't always know what I wanted, but what did I do to figure out what I could possibly like as I grew older? So, and that thing again, as time goes by, you get to understand yourself more. So the first thing I did was I had to take time to understand myself. I don't know, as a woman, right? There's this, you have to be intent. For me, I'm talking from a woman's perspective. Like, you need to take out time to understand who you are. Like, it means spending a long time with yourself, thinking through what you like on a day-to-day basis, like journaling your thought process and just getting to even analyze yourself as an individual. You don't want to also just live through life as if there's nothing you can offer. There's so much every one of us can offer. But it starts by saying, okay, do you understand? Do you know yourself? Do you know the things you like? What are the things you enjoy to do without any pressure? Like, maybe, for example, like Sandra already said, maybe like you know how to bargain, you have great negotiation skills, or probably you have great communication skills. Okay, what can I do with that skill that I have now as a person? So first of all, understand yourself in that phase, and also on that thing again, what are the things you love to do on a day-to-day basis, right? Try to know them. Yeah. And that thing again is I have conversation with people. So for me, it was more like when you walk into a room, when you're in church, for example, maybe when you're in school, have conversation with your friends. Like, what would you like to do? Like, you don't want to keep to yourself at all times. You also want to be able to explore people's mind and get to, from there, you get to start from their knowledge, and kind of helps you to also see how I can also work on myself. So and that part again is that whatever you're studying right now, what are the opportunities for you? Like, for example, as an accountant, I knew that if I finished from accounting, I could be an accountant, I could be a tax consultant, I could be an auditor, I could be a human resource. So you need to take your time. Okay, this is what I'm studying right now. What are the available opportunities for me out there in the world? You don't want to come out before discovering that. Take a moment, go online, go on YouTube, go on in Google. If I study history, for example, what are the possible career I can actually venture into, so that you can also be able to explore, okay, does this fit my personality? Does it fit the kind of thing, I can actually bring to the world? So take our time to really assess the information around you, and to really help you into, gradually, understanding that career. But I'm not trying to say that it's okay to be in that phase, but you don't want to be there for too long. You also need to do something about it. And lastly, I think another thing again, in that phase, it's okay to also seek advice. What I mean, I sought a lot of advice growing up. I didn't figure out how to do auditing for the longest time. I spoke to people that were already in final year, people that maybe my mom's friend, my dad's friends, my dad church, just getting to talk to people. Okay, I'm studying accounting right now. What can I do with my job? What can I do with that certificate? So get to have conversations, seek advice, get open about where you are. And, it's kind of really helping navigate, understanding where you can possibly fit in. And lastly is that as you grow on this journey, you can never get to a point where it feels like, for me, I'm still trying to figure out where I really want to get to. Something that is a continuous journey. Yeah, so that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I think the making the most of the opportunities where you are is really key, because sometimes you never know if you like something until you try them, like you said, and that's very good, Ms. Chinelo. Mr. Rousey.
So I mean, I thought I actually dropped my hand, but then what I was going to say has been said. It's more of a brute force approach, and so what I mean by that is when I was way younger, I was hoping that God would speak to me and tell me, my son, this is what you are going to do with your life. This is your purpose in life. I mean, before you gave birth to me, before I was born, you knew me, so you should know what I should do. So I used to pray, I used to fast. And God, what is my calling? I'm very grateful to God that He didn't speak to me, because I mean, all of the things I've had to try my hands on, all of the people I've met in the process, the impact I've had in the process of trying a bunch of things. I've tried electrical work. I've tried hospital maintenance, hospital appliances. I've been a laborer before. I've been I've been a salesperson before. I've done a bunch of different things. I've been a network engineer. I've had a lot of certificates, in network engineering, in fiber optics. I tried different things until a series of events that led me to, oh, can I actually code, and so it's a brute force approach. You have to try a bunch of things. And very much like Taylor rightly said, it's a continuous journey. People have the false assumption that, oh, once you're 30, whatever you're doing is what you're going to do till you die. Absolutely not. You can change your career at 40. You can change your career at 50. Of course, there are a lot more dynamics in that, but it is a possibility. And so it's very much a continuous journey. I think I'll end at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. UK, now you want to say something about this?
Yes, I just want to add something quickly to what everybody has said, and it's been the point I've been hammering on since the start. One of the ways to really get to know what you would like to do from a place of cluelessness, like Chinelo said, is to always talk to people, right? For me, I believe it's to insert yourself into communities. There's this popular saying that a foolish man in the midst of 10 wise men will become a wise man, and a rich man in the midst of 10 poor men will become a poor man. So you must find yourself in communities of people that are better than you, that are doing things. Because we are, as a society, especially as humans, we form the societal structure whereby, like, the environment really influences you. The people you find yourself around, they influence you. So you must consciously push yourself to be in the midst of people that will influence you rightly. Like when in school, join the road club, join the clubs that do this, join the clubs that go on exciting events, join the clubs that have speakers like this, and you will hear a lot of things, and you get mentors from those kind of guys too, like people that want to help others there. How do people get grants in school or that support their research? It's by being in the midst of the lecturers that speak about grants. It's as simple as that. You must position yourself rightly so that you might find one person talking about another thing, another person talking about another thing. But when you're in that community, you'll be like, oh, this person, oh, this is this one, and like that, you find what you like, and you see somebody you love doing. When I was younger, I wanted to fight wrestling. There was a community of wrestling because I watched a lot of wrestling. I would have shows. Possibly, I would have been a wrestler today. It's about finding yourself in the community of people that are better than you, that you know that you can take and learn and gain wealth of knowledge from. Don't shy away from that, especially when you're in school. Push yourself to be among mentor. You find good social circle, good friends, and like the foolish man in the midst of 10 wise men will become wise.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. Like a full, I think communities are very important. I also agree. The questions are a lot. I'm convinced now that I won't be able to go through all of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize the questions to specific speakers. And at the end of the day, I will speak about how all the questions can actually be answered, because that's the intention of this meeting. But for now, a more specific question to Mr. Rousey and Mr. UK. Somebody that wants to get into tech notice that you did not mention anything about how you push through the learning process of your career path as an engineer, as a tech person, and he wants to know, like, was there anything that pushed you, that motivated you to really learn faster before you could start, even making money out of it? And how important was it, like, for you to have a mentor? Did that also aid your motivation processes? So this is directly to Mr. Rousey and Mr. UK. I don't know who would like to go first, but the question, you guys didn't mention your learning processes, and somebody wants to really know, for him to learn, for him to be motivated across his learning, he wants to know, was there anything was there a way you push yourself, and did the mentor actually work in your benefit? Do you have a mentor that actually pushed you across the learning process? Mr. Danny, I saw you on first. Please, Mr. Rousey.
Okay, thank you. I did mention how I knew what to learn, which is the LinkedIn example I gave earlier, right? I went on LinkedIn. Of course, I was in communities as well. On Twitter, I follow people that were doing what I wanted to do. And so I had a sense of what skills I needed to learn. So that sort of thinned out what exactly I needed to do to get to where I wanted to get to. And so LinkedIn helped, communities helped. The role of mentorship can never be undervalued because it helps you to be guided. Because especially because I'm speaking in tech, with the tech field in mind, there's a lot of things you could be doing. Tech is broad. There's machine learning, there's AI, there's software engineering, and so you could get easily, crowded with a lot of things that you have to do. And so I think it's very important to have a mentor that will tell you, okay, this is what you have to do specifically for this period of time to get to where you want to get to. I think that is very, very important. And as regards motivation, I mean, I think it has been mentioned a lot, having goals and targets for yourself. If you need an accountability partner, I think you should get that as well. So of course, being a community automatically solves that, because in a community, you find people who are learning as well as you are learning, people about the same level, a level above you or under you. And so that helps you to be accountable. So that helped me as well, because I had people I was learning together with. But also, I mean, I'm very, very, I'm not money driven, so don't get the wrong the wrong side of me. Money is a very good thing. It solves a lot of problems, Bible says it clearly. And so I had a lot of dependencies. I didn't grow up privileged, and so there were things I needed money for. And so every day I'll go to certain job posts and they'll say, if you have this job, this is how much I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you maybe $50,000, for example. I'm just saying hypothetically. I'll just say, if I have $50,000, I can solve this problem, I can solve this problem, I can solve this problem. All these prayer points eliminated, by just getting to this, goal. And so that was a major drive for me. And so, I mean, I hope all of these things help. I don't know if I answered all of your questions. Mentorship, motivation, how you learned. Yeah, I think that's what I have to share. Thank you.
Yeah, you answered this question.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. UK, please go ahead. I just wanted to call you.
Yes, I'll go ahead to add to that shortly, right? Daniel has said a lot of things regarding this, but the few things I want to add is this. You have to find something that inspires you. And I don't want to talk about like setting goals, because that's given. Daniel has talked about setting goals, but what inspires you to set those goals? Who is the person you look up to? Like footballers today that are young and growing up are looking up to Messi and Ronaldo. Messi and Ronaldo cannot be their mentors, but those are the idols they look up to. They say, oh, if I could just achieve the success of Messi and Ronaldo. And you can never set the bar too high. Set the bar extremely high, so that even when you fail high. I've never reached my apex or everything on my bucket list. But if I put 100 things there, at least I know when I start curating, I've done at least 40. And that 40 is high. So it's about planning the apex. That is, go out of your mind. I can do this, then this is what I will do within this time frame. And I'm going to go after it. So when you fail high also. And with goals, you need, because tech is a vast industry, right? There is programming, there is cloud, there is data science, there is customer support, there is business, there is project management, a lot of fields. There's fintech tied into tech. You have to sit down and don't be overwhelmed by the information and plot a chart. This is what I would like to do. I'm really good with data. I want to be a data analyst, or I want to be a data scientist. Plot your chart. Who is the idol? Who is the best data scientist I know? How can I be like them? What did they achieve? And this is where networking comes in. LinkedIn is a great tool. You can search anybody's resume and history on LinkedIn. You can see the number of certifications they had. You can see their stories. And you're like, oh, this person did this certification. This is how they did it. I can mirror that line. Oh, this is the certification I need to do first before I jump to this level and get the next job. And because there are a lot of mentors around you that you can even pick from without meeting individually one-on-one, that can help you align your goals and your strategy for certifying properly. Another thing, right? How do you push yourself during times where you are not motivated to learn? the same thing that Daniel talked, community. So with me, right, I'd set expectations, setting expectations for myself. Like, okay, I'm going to write 10 certifications exam in a month. And because I'm in an environment of, I put myself in an environment of high achievers. I bounce off them. Oh, guy, I've written 2. How many have you written? Just to tell me, you are in 2. I've written 4 already. I'm like, 4. So you have to foster a spirit of competition wherever you find yourself. And sometimes if you're not competing with somebody, you will not be motivated. Have a spirit of competition and don't allow envy also swallow you. When somebody gain success that is a friend, like be like, oh, I've been hustling this too, but this person won't click. Don't be envious. Take it as motivation. Oh, I will do more and I will get to that point. It motivates you when you see other people's success. It should motivate you, especially in your field, and even especially when you are even better than that person. What did they see in this person that this person clock $100,000 job and me, I'm still earning naira? Let it motivate you to become better, to go above and achieve more of your goals. And mentorship, like I said, is important, but with the society we live in, it's really difficult to find a mentor that will lead you in a specific area because people are really busy, right? I cannot just come to Chinelo and say, Chinelo, mentor me here, there, here. You have to meet people with specifics. Like, Chinelo, I want to be an auditor by so time. This is what I know. This is what I'm working on right now. Do you have any tips that could help me climb to the next level? You must be specific with the questions you're bringing to people so that they meet you halfway. They're like, wow, you have tried and you've gotten to this point. This is what you can do. This is what I did during my time. You don't expect them to dedicate 100% of their time to you. The importance of a mentor is in being prepared. Yourself opportunity meets those who are prepared. So mentors, people that have really been successful through mentorship, have always been prepared before going to get mentors or before approaching mentors. So you must have that mindset of being prepared. That's why I say, man, know thyself. Know yourself at every level you are. What do you need? The journey of 1,000 miles, right? It starts with the first step. But before you take the second step, what do you need to take the second step? If you know you take the second step, you might fall. So you must prepare for every step you take along the journey. That is what I have to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. That was very good. Be prepared before you have a mentor. I'm taking that home. So a more specific question to Mr. Kenny. Somebody has actually asked, how do I give trust to a new client who has already trusted a brand that they already buy for? This person has trusted a brand they bought from before. Now you want to give trust. You want to offer this person. Basically, how do you get a new customer that has been committed to something else? Can you hear me?
Please repeat the question.
I said, how do you give trust to somebody that has been committed to another customer, to another brand? Like, how do you give trust? How do you make the person your own customer? So this person has been committed to another brand, but you want to give trust to the person to actually use you.
Okay. All right. I guess the thing about business is integrity, and I always also look for, I always look at, giving value as well, very, very importantly, right? I want to make sure that, what, the value I'm giving this customer, because they're paying me for the service I'm giving them, right? I want to make sure that I'm giving them the best for what they're paying for. So value and integrity is very, very important. And of course, there are times that you meet new clients for the first time. So now what's that thing that will make them different? Yes, I said, be integrous in your dealings and making sure that, whatever it is you're giving them the best value, right? And that those two things are very important. Once you're integrous, it's easy for you to deal with clients and just make sure that they have the best value, right, for the product they're purchasing from you, right? I guess those two things for me is very key. Being integrous in your dealing. them an experience, leaving them an experience, right? Where it's like they will always will come back, because for them to have been loyal to other clients, it means that there must have been something that those clients have done for them. Just make a difference, right? Don't oversell yourself and don't be desperate. Some there are times that you want to win a client, that you want to be over desperate. No, know your value, know what you're offering, right? And and just do your best. I feel that if you give your best, the clients will always come back. For me, that's it. Like, that's what I deal with, like new clients, and making sure that they come back. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think integrity is key. I totally am taking that as well. Like, being integrous puts you ahead of it. A lot of people do not have integrity, and thank you for that, Mr. Kenny. So the next question I have, since I'm going like a more specific route, to Miss Sandra, once again, somebody asked, how would you advise getting jobs outside the country? Like, how would you advise getting job? I know she's not the only one that has job outside the country. I'm not directing the question directly to you. Like, how would you? Somebody is interested in getting jobs outside the country. Like, how would you advise? What do you say will work for you?
Hi, Tamara. Just to be sure, did you call my name? Because I lost you for a bit.
Yeah, I said Miss Sandra. Yes, you're the one. How would you get job outside the country?
Am I in the best position to answer this? But yeah, my first job outside the country, but how? I think just positioning yourself correctly. I think someone had mentioned positioning. I think a lot of people have mentioned the use of LinkedIn. I think the benefits of having a LinkedIn profile or a LinkedIn account cannot be overemphasized here. I know a lot of people just upload a link and they just create a LinkedIn profile and they leave it just there. There are ways to harness your profiles where people who are looking for specific people can actually like locate you. And that is where you need to position yourself correctly. So for me, I sort of got the job through, I wouldn't say a referral, but I joined a WhatsApp group that was posting remote jobs. And then also I was constantly looking on LinkedIn. I followed people. I followed like literally anybody that was under CX, literally white, black, whatever. I followed. And then for me, I sort of saw a lot of job sites that were posting remote jobs. So there are quite a couple of them. We have weworkremotely.com, we have remote.co, there's Upwork. There are quite a couple of them. And I constantly was checking these sites just to be sure that I was going to see something that I wanted. But then me choosing to look for a job outside the country, I got to a position where I was like, you know what? I was jobless for a year. So literally I left my former job 2021, 1st of February. So I was at home not doing anything. And it gave me the opportunity to like implement and also think back and say, okay, Sandra, this is the next step for you. What would you want to do for yourself? And I had to come to a realization where it's like, I think I have tried with the going to work physically and all of those things. I think I would try my hands at something remote and also maybe look for a job where I have to go to the office 9 to 5, but whichever one comes first. So pretty much I positioned myself for that, where I spoke to people about the job, like, guys, I'm looking for a job, a remote job. And it's like, oh, you can look at this site. I constantly was sleeping on this site looking for something that I could do. Yes, I applied for a couple and I got a couple of, sorry, you're not the best fit. We're moving on to the next round, blah, 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 and all of those things. But then it's like position yourself. And yes, I think the God factor is like, when God says it's your time, or when God says, I'm going to give you this, I am going to give it to you. And I think what sort of helped me during my wait period was just trusting the process. Like, I know that, yes, God was going to give me this. I didn't let the fact that, yes, I didn't have a job at that time take me away from my service to God, pretty much. And I feel like God just sort of gave me the job as a, you know what, I think you didn't lose yourself through this process. Take this as a compensation. That's how I call it. But pretty much that's what I can say. Just checking remote job sites, which I can share with you guys later. And yeah, just having a proper LinkedIn profile, putting a proper picture, and making good use of your LinkedIn. It's not there to just go and be reading the acquire to perspire post of other people, but it's also following people that can also help you go through the ladder of success. So yes, thank you very much. I hope that helped.
Thank you very much, Miss Sandra. Mr. UK, just please go ahead. I'm sure you want to have something to that.
Yes, I want to add to that. What Sandra just discussed about with LinkedIn boils down to network. But I also want to take this chance to address the questions job abroad. And I saw somebody in the chat put, "Oh, must we get jobs abroad?" You can also get jobs in Nigeria. But the main goal of remote jobs is not to travel. See, Sandra is in Nigeria and working remotely, right? It is the ability to export your capabilities to an employer that can pay you much better than you can get in your home region. It's the same thing with the spreading of the gospel. Disciples left Jerusalem to go all over the world and exported the message around the world. And various ways you can achieve this: networking in person, networking online, using LinkedIn, being in groups where and optimizing your profile. See, there's one thing that Sandra said that stuck out to me. She was in a lot of WhatsApp groups or a WhatsApp group, and that was when she even saw the job she applied for. LinkedIn might not work for everybody. In fact, there's a glaring statistics that it is less than 5% of the people that are applying for remote jobs that do get them. Because you see disciples on this call, at least 3 are working remotely. It's not doesn't mean that it's just everywhere for everybody to pick. There's a factor of luck and there's a factor of grace. However, I still believe in Matthew 7:7, one of the scriptures that we always read: seek and you find. But how intently are you seeking? And will you seek and give up? Will you knock and give up after it doesn't work for a while? You have to be intentional about trying. And with me, I currently work 2 remote jobs, both of them being as a factor of having a good network of individuals that we are then in a right position to help me and recommend me or give me these jobs. This is important. It's just like my own WhatsApp. You must also have individuals in your line of work, what you want to achieve, the field you are in. Have individuals that you network with properly, that are in those high places, in countries abroad or working these remote jobs. And they can tell you when there's an opening and even recommend you. Those are the kind of friends you must make. You must work on making these friends. And you could also get jobs in Nigeria. Don't be afraid to work hard and don't be anxious to skip the ladder. You must always start somewhere. You can't build a multi-billion-dollar company without having built $1,000 company, first of all. You must follow the process, trust it, seek, and you will find. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. That was very good. We are slowly coming to an end. We timed 3 hours for this event. Ms. Chinelo will have the last question. I really want us to address an elephant in the room. I know, everybody has had to speak differently, and people have talked about God, in different fields. And I think Ms. Chinelo was the one that actually insisted on the fact that she strongly believes that jobs are given by God. And the question that comes to mind is, really, for you guys, everybody here seems to, really have a relationship with God that affords them, that works in benefit basically to getting their job. How do you do that? How do you stay committed with your relationship with God and also give all these extra hours of hard work, to the job as well? Like, how do you do that? How do you manage these 2 areas of your life? And I feel like, I want Ms. Chinelo to be the one, to start answering the question. How do you manage your relationship with God, the commitment to that, and the extra hours of hard work that you have to also put, to your job without sacrificing one for other? And I would really like to know, was there a time you sacrificed, your relationship with God at some point? You made some compromises for the job. Did it really pay you out well? Or were there times you actually felt like, you went too far with God and, you should have committed more to God? We really want to hear, Ms. Chinelo.
Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, to start with the last part of the question, which is, were there times where I had to, deflate my commitment towards God's work and just give more of my attention to, my corporate job. Yes, so many times I've always done that. But most times it never paid off because for me, I realized that I needed to have a balance. First off, I'm a disciple before any other thing. And truthfully, I'm not yet tell you that I figured out everything. I'm still on that journey. I still even had a breakdowns during this week, having to merge both. But the point here really is that I'm coming to you as a human being. I'm not coming to you as, I figured everything out. But truthfully, for me, becoming a disciple, the first thing was discipleship is not a part of my life. It is actually my whole life, and that was what changed my approach towards every other thing after that time. It didn't sink in the first few months, but it was while I continued to, have my constant quiet time, sought advice from more older disciples. I realized that, I couldn't afford to make discipleship just a part of my life. It has to be everything. It has to, go through my work life, my relationship with people, my company, everything has to, evolve around being a disciple. So yes, the times where I gave my time to my job more than God's work and it backfired. I know times most of you already know I traveled to Benin for an engagement and I gave my best thinking because I wanted a promotion, and it meant that when the work became very difficult, I withheld from the things of God. I stopped coming out to Bible talk or any that has to do with church because I felt like I could have used that time for other things. But truthfully, I didn't get the promotion, not because God wanted to punish me, but it was like I was obviously idolizing my job above my relationship with God. So like I would not have my quiet time. I would give excuse to miss Bible studies because I was just working. So the point here really is what really brought me back was a scripture that I stumbled upon. Someone shared it with me that time when I was struggling. It was Colossians 3, 23 to 25. It's still one thing I read up until now. And the scripture says that whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongdoings, and there is no favoritism. So the point here really is that I'm called to be the best at what I'm doing as a disciple. Like, I can only be able to share my faith with someone very well when I'm exuding excellence in what I'm doing. Because I can't come and portray a God that is not good because when they give me work, I'm always slacking. I'm not doing things well. I don't have good behavior. So I realized that for me, the only way I could really share my faith well with people at work is that I had to be good at what I was doing. I had to portray that I have an excellent father. And that meant that as a human being, I can't achieve that because I'm a human, I'm not perfect. So I had to learn to rely on God most of the time to achieve that excellence at work. Then when it comes to being a disciple, for me, I realized that my work with God, like the best that has ever happened to me as an adult is becoming the disciple, becoming a born again. And what that means is that my relationship with God, whenever I do anything for God, is coming from a place of gratitude for being saved. I'm not doing it because it's a responsibility to God. Because any other person can do the role I'm playing. But the point is that if truly I appreciate my salvation, if truly I understand what it means to be saved from darkness to light, knowing that my eyes, my action, bringing that to God. And I realized that kind of affected everything around me, which was more like my commitment to God is gratitude. Even when I'm tired, I'm doing it because this was what saved me. This is why I'm still here. So really for me, it's being able to always understand that as a disciple, the only response towards whatever I would do for God, it should be from a place of gratitude, not routine, not responsibility, and not because of any, or not because Uncle B is going to see you and call you to be the best Bible talk leader, but because God will look at you and will be proud that you are his child, you're representing him well. And when it comes the vision still comes from God, and it applies to every other thing I do around me. So yes, I think it's for me to crown it all. There's always these moments where I slack, but in those moments I get open that I'm struggling right now. I'm finding it difficult to balance work and my commitments and things of God. I need help. What can I do differently? And I always get advice, get to talk to people. So really, it's just, what is your perspective? What is my perspective? I always have to remind myself, what is my perspective? Where do I derive my purpose? It's from God. Where do I derive my value? My value doesn't come from my work, by the way. That's another thing. My value comes from God. Whether or not I have a job, I'm God's daughter. I'm special to God. I'm God's most beautiful child. So, like, do you get what I mean? The point is that whether or not I have a role in the corporate world, am I still happy? Am I still content? The answer is yes, because I found all of that in God. So it just transitions into everything around me. That's what I want to say. But I hope that really helps. But if not, you can help me so that I can just rephrase my response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinelo. Mr. UK, you have something else you want to say?
Yes, with regards to that question, it's a very interesting question, right? And if you were to look into the life of 10 disciples, or the 200 disciples, or the 180 something disciples we have today, everybody has a different life chart. They come from different backgrounds, different social status. Nobody's life is a mirror of anybody. We're all unique individuals. It means that our journeys have all been unique. So with putting God in there, it means our journey with God has also been unique. Many people do not know this, but in my first year of discipleship, I got my first abroad job. I ended up not going. It was a struggle that almost got me out of faith. Because for me, for those who know me, they know I'm a go-getter. I go after things. There's nothing that can stop me when my mind is made up. But I realize now, with hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, that if I had gone and traveled abroad for that job, I probably would not have been a disciple today. I probably would have been taken out. And all the factors that led to that job falling through, I believe today, was orchestrated by the hands of God. We fail to realize most times as disciples that God creates times and places. And he helps us in our journey with him to realize certain things, to learn certain lessons. And these lessons are very super important. He wants us to get the value from this lesson, because every situation we face with our job, with our life, it's either a lesson or a blessing. And it could be both. It could be both a lesson that God wants to teach you from there, and a blessing he wants to give to you through that lesson. And truly right. Um, my journey through the years, going from job to job, struggling with envy, when I see my mates having achieved so high and I was still in a low position, having to walk through that mindset and push on to motivate myself and go harder and go harder. It has all been a journey of discovering myself and also working with God in faith. And how do I manage discipleship? How do I manage discipleship with my 16-hour a day work week, or my 80-hour work week? It's not easy. But like Chinelo says, what is my identity first? Having grown older, I realized that my identity is that of a disciple. And being a disciple, right, caused me to deny myself and carry my cross and follow Jesus. I usually don't have breakfast till like 1 p.m. and I have some free slot times in my day, like from 11 a.m. I find every opportunity I can to be a disciple in those moments. I find a way to squeeze in a study during my day. It helps me realize that the goal I am put on earth here is to make disciples. And every opportunity I can do or I can take in achieving that, I should take it. I make the sacrifices where necessary and say, oh, I have to clock in late on Wednesday and cut my paycheck by half because there's midweek service. I have to carry my work with me on Fridays because I have a meeting just before Bible talk and I need to be the first to present in that meeting so I can leave and join Bible talk. You must find ways to show that you are a disciple before your work. Discipleship comes first. I have to have brother times. I have to have the time in all that time. And you discover that when you put God first, you find joy. I'm happy. If today I lose my two jobs, man, I'm happy because I know money is a tool. I'm going to get a job tomorrow. God might want to bless me something bigger. Realize if I had gone abroad 3 years ago, I wanted to go, I wouldn't have learned the lessons God wanted to teach me. I wouldn't have gotten the blessings where I am right now in life. I wouldn't have grown as spiritually intent as I am right now. And it lends to the larger question. I think somebody put in the chat, oh, if I get these blessings, I feel like I'm going to lose my touch with God. The truth is that are you underestimating the power of God, that He loves you so much and wants to direct your path? Because we have learned from the scriptures that sometimes these temptations or these jobs are there to test how much we love God more than them. Because Jesus calls us to love Him above everything. And that's the mindset we should approach this. And what has always helped me has been the words of Jesus: give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God. Saturday, Sunday, after work hours, I switch off my mindset. I'm no longer in work mode. I'm in my life mode. What do I need to do? Which study do I need to have now? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to encourage? Who do I need to check on? And I have this mode even during my work time. But I also need to be the best at what I do, giving to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, because it is that excellence that shows that I'm also a disciple of God, just like Chinelo said. The journey is different, and you must always learn to be in attunement with the Spirit of God as you go along, because not everything that comes your way might be the best for you at the moment.
Thank you very much, Mr. UK. I would like to close, but I really want to ask. I really want to ask one of the questions that one of the people in the audience asked as the last question. It's a business question, and I think it's important that Mr. Kenny is able to attend to that question before we go today. And after that, I'm going to round up and I'll ask all the speakers, because I feel like this time is not just for all the questions to be answered, but the fact that there's a possibility for all the questions to be answered to be so. And the question is from Richard. What he says is, what would you say is necessary before starting a business? Or specifically, maybe specifically a clothing business, Would you say, is a website necessary, brand name necessary, existing customers? What would you say is necessary? Okay, I have a business idea for each specifically like a clothing business. What would you say is necessary first before starting a business? Are these options you even mentioned even necessary? Website, brand name, existing customers. Please go ahead.
All right. Thanks once again. I mean, I've been taking notes. I hope you guys are taking notes. Anyways, Richard, I think that question is directed to you. So, I mean, it's from you. I guess for me, very importantly, whatever it is you're selling, whether it's clothes, whether it's shoes, whatever it is that you're doing, really, you must have your target audience, because any business you're doing is you're selling, you're buying. Someone is paying you for the service you're providing, right? And so you must have your target audience. What and who? What am I selling? One, then who are my target audiences? Because at the end of the day, those are the people that you need to push your product to, right? And so for like clothing business, right? If you're doing like maybe ready to wear, you're doing suits, who are your clients? Who are your clients? Are they students? Are they single professionals? Are they married people? Are they boutiques? Who are your target audiences? Because those are the people that you now need to penetrate, right? And so based on your target audiences, that's when you can know that, okay, you know what, man, if they're high-end clients, what that means is that I need to my branding has to be top notch, right? I need to have a website. I need to be able to show, that part of my brand, because this is high-end customers, right? But then if it's just the regular students that don't really need so much, branding and things and whatnot, right? Just sell your stuff, make sure it's just good. Make sure, as I said to the previous question, make sure that, you're offering value to your clients, right? Make sure that whatever it is you're giving is very good. The clothes is good. The finishing is nice. The fitting is great. The quality of the fabric is great, right? And then you just send it to them that way. So I don't think you need a website. I don't think you need a brand name, to be honest. I don't think you need existing customers to start a business. All you need to do is do a pilot study or a pilot survey, which is like, you start at a very, very small scale. That's what pilot does. You start at a small scale. What are your target audiences? What are you trying to achieve? This is your goal. What are your methodologies? How do you want to reach this person? How do you want to reach this client, right? You start at a small scale. Once you do that and you say, okay, with these things, right? I'm able to make sales, and then okay, what can we improve on these things? How can we reach wider audiences, right? And then you now start to improve on those methodologies and your marketing skills and things that you even need to improve on generally as a business. So you don't need any of those things. Once you can identify your target audience, then it now helps you to now know, okay, whether I need a brand name or I need a branding or website or something. I don't have a website currently as I speak to you, but by the special grace of God, we're making good money. So yeah.
That was very good. That was very good. I think in general, what I take home from everything people have said here, it's to really start before you think you are ready. Because I feel like a good number of the questions, everybody's trying to be ready at this point. This number of skills I've learned, this I have had. But each person here had to try different things first before they were ready. And a good number of them are still saying they are not ready. I just want to mention this. These are not just professionals, that actually are making good money or are doing well in different career paths. These are people that actually are Christians, like their commitment to God comes first in their life. So they don't even have the luxury to, change the numbers, do this, lie that are there. Basically, they have to put their integrity first. It's not because of their bosses, just because they have a commitment to God. And they have a lot of things that they do, like as we mentioned, like Bible studies, different meetings, saving souls. These are committed people, and yet they have a successful career. And guys, they mentioned a lot of things that work for them. And to all the questions that cannot be answered today, because I'm coming to an end, I just want to say this. I really want to ask the speaker in general. I'm just going to show by like a raising of hand. If other people that their questions have not been answered, if they are here and they really want to speak with you guys afterwards, maybe personally, and like you mentioned, like you have to be prepared. Your question has to be specific now, since you are meeting the person one-on-one, and you have to mention where you've gotten to and where you want to, where you are now and where you want to get to. And I feel like, can they actually come, meet you personally and to specify exactly what they want to do, or specify the kind of help they want to get if they think you can actually help. So somebody can come meet you personally. Oh, I have a problem with this. I think you can help me. But how am I going to get the help? I want you guys to show by raising your hands if that is possible. That's something that can be done. At least for those that are disciples, and for the visitors, please reach out to whoever invited you. If you have a specific question, that person can help you get the answer. Mr. UK has raised his hands already. For those that have questions to Mr. UK, that Miss Sandra as well, Mr. Kenny as well, all these people have raised their hands, for you to reach out to them personally. Same as Miss Chinelo, everybody has raised their hand. Guys, the goal of this day is not basically, gentlemen and ladies, it's not to solve all the problems. It's to help you guys see that the problems can be solved. That's what I hope that all the answers to all the questions will have put to you guys. And there's a way around it without having to sacrifice your relationship with God or any other thing. So with this, we are going to come to an end to this event. There's a recording. If you want to listen again, you can have access to that. If you want to meet all these speakers as well, they raise their hands, you can get to them as a guest through the person that invites you. As somebody that already know them, you can just reach out to me or you can contact them directly. They are going to actually be able to. I can put my own number on the group so that you can reach out to me. It's not that difficult. I would have somebody put my number on the group. Let me put it so that you guys can have it. Reach out to me. I can help you get the kind of help you want. That's my number. My name is Damilare. So guys, I'm going to pray now, since we prayed when we started, and that will be the end of the time. First of all, I want to say like a big thank you to all the speakers. Really, I appreciate having you guys. You guys sacrifice out of your busy time. 80 hours a week, Mr. UK mentioned just now, and is here to offer time to you guys. And each person here is going through different things. Michelle mentioned traveling. Mr. Kenny could be attending to clients. Mr. Daniel could be doing something else. Miss Sandra could also be working. All these people created time to be here. I am deeply grateful for the time. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pray now. Heavenly Father, I thank you. I give you all the glory for the amazing event. Just the amount of insight. Like, I really have to actually sit down and go through all these videos. As the moderator, like, just listening, and even the speakers are taking notes from other speakers. That really allows us to see, how much word of wisdom you're given in each one of us, and how sad it would be that people will actually perish because of lack of knowledge, because of the unwillingness to actually get the help that they need through the people you provided to them. Like Mr. UK said, God doesn't just come down and provide answers. I know some of us, like Mr. Daniel, we are waiting, for God to tell us what we are going to do, but really uses people, to give us the help that we need. I pray we can see the need for that, go after all the things that pertains to us, and really get, our career going well. Because as Mr. Lolo have said, we need to be excellent in all that we do. Give you all the glory, I give you all the honor. Thank you for the success, and despite the internet here and there. I'm just grateful for this time. I give you all the glory, I give you all the honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you very much. The meeting has come to an end.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for our speakers.
Thank you, our speakers also. We're grateful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us.